My name is Daniel Price. I'm 29 now, but this happened when I was 16. I've tried to convince myself it wasn't real, that it was heat exhaustion, teenage hysteria, some kind of group delusion. But even now, all these years later, I still see the woods in my dreams. I still hear the whispers under the bunkhouse floor. I still wake up with dirt under my fingernails. Back in the summer of 2012, my parents sent me to a rustic place upstate New York, Camp Ashwood, near the Catskill Mountains. You won't find it online. The camp's long gone, abandoned after that summer. And no, there's no official record of what happened. The story you're about to hear never made the news. It was buried like everything else at Ashwood. That summer, there were about 40 campers, mostly boys and girls aged 12 to 17. We were split into different cabins based on age and gender. I was in cabin Red Pine with 5 other boys: Alex, Brandon, Malik, Drew, and Evan. On the first day, nothing felt off, just typical camp stuff. Orientation, s'mores, icebreakers by the fire pit. The air was thick with pine and that earthy smell of wet wood. I remember waking up to birdsong and mist hanging over the lake like a veil. But it didn't last. It started on day 3. Brandon found a wooden box buried behind our cabin while digging a fire pit. It was small, maybe the size of a lunchbox, carved with strange symbols we didn't recognize. It had no hinges, just sealed shut. When we brought it to our counselor, Nick, he went pale, said it was probably an old tribal artifact and we should put it back. But we didn't. That night, after lights out, we broke it open with a rock. Inside was a tiny human jawbone, darkened with age, with teeth still intact. Alongside it was a strip of deer hide, etched with symbols, and a small pouch of what looked like black ash. We freaked out and threw the box into the lake. We laughed it off afterward, daring each other to swim down and retrieve it. But none of us did. The next morning, the mood in the cabin had shifted. We were all on edge. Malik said he saw something moving outside during the night, something tall, pale, and hunched. I thought he was joking until I saw the deep claw marks on the inside of our cabin door. Not scratches, gouges, like something with talons had tried to get in. On day 5, Evan disappeared. He was there when we went to bed. But the next morning, his bed was empty, sheets soaked in lake water and covered in tiny muddy footprints. Not adult-sized, not even child-sized. Too small, too many. Counselor Nick told us Evan went home for a family emergency. But Evan's stuff was still there, his sneakers, his comic books, his inhaler. And worse, we saw his reflection in the lake that afternoon. Just the reflection, standing still in the water, staring back at us from beneath the surface. We told the head counselor, Sarah, but she said we were playing games, that the heat was making us hallucinate, that she'd never even had an Evan on her list. Things escalated fast after that. At night, we'd hear whispers through the walls. Not in English. It sounded like someone muttering underwater. Drew woke up screaming on day 6 with blood coming from his ears. We thought it was a nosebleed at first, until we saw the worms wriggling in the blood on his pillow. We weren't allowed to call our parents. No outside contact except for emergencies, they said. And somehow, nothing we said counted as an emergency. That night, Brandon snapped. He bolted into the woods with a flashlight, screaming Evan's name. We didn't see him again until sunrise, crawling back out of the trees with black handprints all over his shirt. He wasn't speaking anymore, just mumbling those same underwater syllables we heard through the walls. They took him to the infirmary. We never saw him again. The next few days were broken, like time got bent. Days felt like minutes, and nights stretched on forever. We stopped eating, we stopped sleeping, the food smelled of rot. The lake turned black overnight, like oil, no birds, no bugs, just silence and those whispers. One morning, Malik was gone. His bed was still warm, his shoes sat neatly under the bunk, but his mattress was slashed open from the inside. Drew and I were the only ones left in cabin Red Pine. We tried to escape on day 9. We ran into the woods during arts and crafts. We didn't get far. The trees didn't match the map we'd memorized on orientation day. It was like the forest had shifted. The same twisted oak kept appearing no matter which direction we ran. When Drew marked the bark with a knife, we came around again to find the mark bleeding. And the voices, they followed us, closer, louder, like a crowd whispering our names in unison. We found the old chapel deep in the woods, abandoned, its roof caved in. Inside there was an altar with more of those black symbols carved into the floor, and bones. hundreds of tiny bones arranged in spirals. Drew collapsed, sobbing. I tried dragging him back, but the path was gone. We had to sleep in the chapel that night. In my dreams, I saw Evan. He was beneath the lake, his skin bloated, lips chewed away, mouthing words I couldn't hear, but I felt them. It's not a place, it's a mouth. I woke up with dirt in my mouth and scratches across my chest. The next morning, Drew was gone. No blood, no signs of a struggle, just gone. I was alone. I wandered back to camp. I don't remember how. I blacked out several times along the way. When I finally reached the mess hall, it was empty. Every cabin abandoned, dead quiet. No counselors, no kids, except one. Sitting at the dock, legs dangling over the dark water, was a little girl in a yellow raincoat. I remember her blonde braids and the way she hummed a broken lullaby. I asked her who she was. She smiled without teeth and said, "You let it out." Behind her, the lake bubbled. Something was surfacing. I ran. I don't know how long. Hours? Days? I emerged from the woods near a ranger station 3 towns away. Half naked. Raving. Covered in scratches and bruises. They found no trace of Camp Ashwood. Not on Google Maps, not in county records. The woods were there, yes, but no cabins. No lake. Nothing. My parents picked me up from the hospital a week later. The doctors said it was trauma-induced psychosis, that I made it all up. But a month after I got home, I received a package. No return address. Inside was Evan's inhaler. Still damp, still smelling faintly of lake water and rot. I've never told anyone all of this before, until now, because last night I saw the little girl again, outside my apartment window, in the rain, humming that same lullaby. And this morning, there were tiny wet footprints across my kitchen floor.